Okay, so I've spent a little while longer, about 15 more minutes, and I fitted the mesh much better to the actor's face. It's still not perfect, but you can see we have a pretty decent fit. It accounts for all of the major shapes of the face, and you can see now it tracks extremely well with him. So, and again, it's not a perfect replica of his face, not by a long shot, and that's just fine. That's not what we need. All we need again is a surface that's just going to roughly fit the face so that we can use it as a kind of just a building block if we're going to build prosthetics, if we're going to add scarring in an area so we know where to lay it. It's just kind of a guideline for us. So that's why we didn't want to spend a crazy amount of time going really kind of intense with the modeling. If you really think about it, in the end, after we actually created the point cloud, which is when the tracking was finished, if we really count up the amount of time, if you're just kind of running through the process, it's only about an extra 30 minutes to create the higher end point cloud, I mean, plus calculation time, to kind of prune it, clean it, make a mesh, bring it in here, and then just fit it. And that's pretty good to get a surface like this that matches so close. So before we though go into NUKE and bring this back, I want to go ahead and add some UVs. So I'm just going to quickly select the face here, and I'm just going to do a projection directly from our camera. Just going to make it nice and quick. So we'll go to UV. We'll do camera-based UVs. All right. And we're going to come back here to our UV editor. Go ahead and shrink that down just a bit. All right, we don't need to see the image back there. I'll just shut that off. And I'm going to go ahead and select the whole thing. And I want to go ahead and unfold this. I'm just going to come over here and we'll drop to unfold. And there we go. I'm just going to shift this up a little bit and shrink that down a tiny bit, just so it's a little bit away from the edges. I found the edges can be a little bit of an issue with NUKE. Sometimes it can mess up the little pixels right at the very edge. All right. So I'm going to go ahead now and export this to NUKE. Now, because it's not really been moved or shifted, it's in the original position, we can actually export it straight. But if for any reason you had kind of changed its positions or things like that, then you may want to actually go in and bring it back to the original position. Again, you want it to match with this object here. So let's go quickly into the perspective and see where our pivots are for these two objects. Chances are they're going to be in the same place at the grid at 0, 0, 0, but I just want to make sure. And you can see, you know what? That one isn't. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, go into pivot mode by hitting insert. I'm going to hold X and snap this down here, then let go. So now it should be in the exact same place and should hopefully come in correctly in NUKE. I'm also going to go ahead and rename this, and we'll just call this NUKE face model 01. All right, I'm going to go ahead and export this now. So file, we'll go ahead and export. And when it comes to exporting this, I found that even though NUKE accepts both OBJs and FBXs, I've had bad luck with FBX. I don't understand why. They should work fine. So usually I export both, one FBX and one OBJ just to be safe. So let's go ahead and export that. We're going to go ahead and put it in the Maya exports. And this will be NUKE face 01.fbx. Okay, that's fine. Not worried about the maps. Then we'll go ahead and export it again. And we'll do it as an OBJ this time. So let me actually file, export selection. We'll choose our OBJ. Oops, I did not want to export all. I'm sorry. Export selection. There we go. We'll choose our OBJ. And this will be NUKE face 01. Okay. Great. So let's go ahead and jump back into NUKE and bring this face in. Okay, so we're back here in NUKE, and before I go ahead and import the new geometry, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping here really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and delete these right nodes, the merge node. Don't really need the light right now either, and I'll also drop out this baked mesh. Again, I'm not worried about deleting that stuff. I can always have it later. And in fact, now I don't even need the point cloud generator anymore either. So I can kind of get rid of all of that. In fact, all I really need is my, my camera and the new piece of geometry that I'm about to import. So to import some geometry, we need actually a read geo node. So type in read geo, bring that in, and then we can go ahead and load it from right over here. And there's my OBJ. I'll go ahead and bring that in. And you can see it pops right into the scene. And it should be exactly in the position that it was inside of Maya, which is the same position as the original geo was here inside of NUKE. And we can kind of test that really quick just by connecting it to our scene. And we could see there's the camera. We can even kind of view through our camera really quickly. And you can see that that does in fact look correct. So let's quickly do one more test though, make sure that it actually does work with our original footage, that it does match. I'm going to go ahead and actually just connect this directly into our scanline render. Actually disconnect the scene and just hook it directly into the scanline render. We'll go ahead and view our scanline render, jump into our, let me kind of exit the camera there, jump into our 2D mode here. You're going to notice it comes in very dark. And that's because there are no lights or anything, but that's not really what I'm even concerned with. I just want to see how well it fits as his face moves. So all I'm going to do is actually come over here for the actual read geo node, and I'll set its render flag to be wireframe. There we go. And you can see that it actually works just as well as it did inside of Maya. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video really quick and we'll buffer this just so we can watch it in real time. Okay. So you can see it matches pretty well. There are areas where it comes off a little bit, and that's just a matter of kind of spending a little bit more time inside of Maya and fixing it a little better, if that's something you actually need. But for the most part, this works. It gives us a great starting point for any visual effect we need that's going to be attached or a part of this actor's face. Now, there is one more thing I want to cover. We're going to cover this in our next module. It's kind of just almost like a bonus thing. It's not really required for what we're really have done here. But we'll go ahead and cover that in the next module. And for now, let's do a quick wrap up of what we've covered in this module. So in this module, we've actually covered quite a few different things. We started by taking a look at how to import our data from NUKE and bring it into Maya. After that, we took a look at actually setting up Maya to actually match the way our setup was in NUKE. We wanted to make sure that the footage actually layered properly with our model, that all the lens settings and things were the same. We then took a look at actually deforming that NUKE mesh that we brought in just a little bit to fit our footage. If you recall, we mostly used the soft selections, though you could also use the other sculpt tools, much like we used the grab tool later on. We then took a look at using Maya's quad draw to actually retopologize on top of that old surface so we can have some cleaner geometry to work with. We then took a look at actually creating a new shader where we projected the footage directly onto the model. That way it would update at every frame, and it was just a little bit easier to fit the model to the footage as we kind of modeled in that camera view. And then we took a look at using the grab tool, which is one of Maya's new modeling tools, part of the sculpting tools, to further kind of fit the model to the footage a little bit better. So I hope you've enjoyed this. There is one more module to go, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.